Hey, welcome everyone. What's going on? What's going on? It's been a while since I've been on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna just double check to make sure that the audio is good on here. I'm collaborating with my good friend Cristina. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here to collaborate um, this morning, early Saturday morning. And yes, as my name is Christina, and I'm just excited.
Okay. Um, so you had like a few downloads and intuitive insights that you wanted to talk about.
Yes, I did. It's funny. Well, it's not exactly funny, but it's funny in in the way how things work out or pan out. In other words, how you can come with everything mapped out, from A to Z and have a plan as far as how you want things executed. And then last minute, things change. So more specifically, I had a certain few downloads that I was given to share with the community. And literally this morning, as I sat in meditation, it was spirit was just like, nope, scrap that. Yeah, that's great, but we're going a different route here. We're going a different route. So
Yeah, spirit be
so
like that all
I've
the time.
learned to. I don't really like the word obedient, but in this sense, to be obedient in the sense where listening to my spiritual team. So, anyways, that's a long way of saying, going about it a different way. So just to jump straight to the point, one of the things that I wanted to discuss today was the spark, and more specifically as it relates to spirituality. Oftentimes you may hear people speak of the light in you, the light, the spark. And as someone who I was always religious, um, however, all my life I haven't been a practicing Catholic, but I will say the past few years I have really delved into, spirituality. And so me often hearing it within the spiritual community, I was just like, what is that? What does that mean? So many people use that type of terminology and they seem to have different definitions associated with it. And I'm the type of person where I need things broken down, synthesized so that I'm able to easily digest this, the information. And the best way for me to do that is by and through examples. So, one of the downloads that I received was, what is the spark? One of the downloads I received was that there is a big energetic shift that is taking place, um, where many light bearers, I also call them, I would like to call them light houses, um, are being called, are being called to to pick up the mantle, so to speak, and to make room and create space to not only pick up the mantle, but stand in your power as far as authority. And what does that look like? What does that mean? That means that we're looking, but what I was told specifically by spirit was what that would look like is there is there's opportunity, um, opportunities, spaces that are being created for leaders who may not necessarily look or think of themselves as leaders, but are being called at least to lead others. lead others in the form of being that beacon of light or lighthouse out of darkness. And when I say out of darkness, I'm talking about specifically discovering the light within you, which in translation, in simplest terms, is to be your authentic self. And in order for you to discover, what that is, oftentimes I would say I associate the spark and the light to essentially be your authentic self. And someone says, well, I am my authentic self. And or how can I be doing things differently? And what I've learned, I'm an 80s baby, so without revealing what my age is, what I've learned in learning how to become your authentic self has to do with a lot of unlearning, the conditions that you learned, or the conditions that you had when you were growing up, as far as what was being taught. A lot of it has to do with that, as far as being able to truly discover who you are and what your particular role is, especially on earth, and as it is, specifically on earth. And so to wrap up what this particular download is, and I'm going to make this succinct as much as possible, is that going back to originally is we are at a time where there's going to be a massive energetic shift that's taking place. And many are being called to pick up the mantle and to stand in their spiritual authority. And to stand into your spiritual authority, it means to live in your spark, which also means to be your authentic self. Now, how does one become their authentic self? Well, a lot of the times, one of the ways that you can do that is to follow your joy. Follow, because that's like the little breadcrumbs that will lead you along the pathway. So a good example to break that thought process is I thought of the Wizard of Oz, right? So if you think about Wizard of Oz and you think about Dorothy and she had her ruby slippers, right? And then the lion was wanted to find courage, the Tin Man wanted to find a heart, and Scarecrow wanted to get a brain. And so they were in the darkness because all this time they were looking for things that were outside of them. When in actuality, come they had came to the epiphany, which is also considered light, enlightenment, but they had came into the epiphany that it was all within themselves the whole entire time. But in order for them to find that or to discover that, they have to go down the yellow brick road. And during the yellow brick road, as they went through there, they were met with distractions. They were met with resistance. They were met with mental and emotional blockages, a lot of which is brought on by themselves through conditioning, what they were previously taught. And so through that journey, they had to slowly uncover, we'll just use leaves, okay? Slowly remove the leaves from the yellow brick road that would then unveil the path to their destination, which in this case was the Wizard of Oz. And when they went to the Wizard of Oz, the Emerald City, and I like to compare the Emerald City as, let's say, the Light City, which is another way of saying source, which is another way of saying the spark in God within you. As they were traversing on this yellow brick road, trying to, look for get their heart, get their brain, find their courage, go back home. And then they come to find out that the whole facade, which is the Wizard of Oz, after they unveiled, saw like this was this short man that was speaking on a damn megaphone, excuse my French, you know, and he was on some steps. He was stairs on a ladder speaking on a megaphone. And and he's like, I'm the Wizard of Oz type of thing. But when they unveiled, they said it was nothing more than a person such as themselves that was actually looking for the same thing, looking similar to Dorothy to go back home, find his way back home. So just to tie this all together, that looking for the light within you or the spark within you, one way of doing it is to truly follow what makes you happy as far as what brings you joy. And that can go for people, places, or things, right? What brings you the most joy. And then the other part of it is as we're learning, we're on the journey of self-mastery, which was essentially what they were all doing as they were going down the yellow brick road, to find out that the Emerald City and the City of Lights was something that they had within themselves all this time, but they just needed, they needed to have it shine upon them. And it was done through the journey. And oftentimes that's what, living on earth is all about, is self-mastery. And the end result is to find the light within you and to live out that light within you or from you without dimming it. And along your life or along your life expectancy, and when I say that specifically, along your life's journey, you will come through resistance, which can look like fear, triggers, which it comes upon as mental and emotional blocks, which comes from a lot of the times conditioning. So that's why I say it boils down to you leading and finding that joy also comes with you uncovering those leaves from the road so that it's that much crystal clear as far as your journey to self-mastery. And light bearers, which is lighthouses or light beacons, which are light workers, tend to be more evolved, more evolved in the sense where they have a responsibility for a number of souls, so they're charged with that responsibility to help usher them and lead them to their own light. And so that's the download, that I got. And so I figured I would use, the Wizard of Oz as an example, just so that people can have a parallel, or folks can have a parallel to do that. And so, in short, or not so much in short, but just to go ahead, because it's been long, my explanation, but just to tie it all together is, it's all about not dimming our light and finding the light within. And even though we'll go through resistance, these resistance or pushing are the lessons and trials that we face. But we understand on the other side of those trials, tribulations, or lessons is growth and evolution, which inches us further along our path as it comes to self-mastery and finding our light and our authentic self. But as we inch towards that destination, we take a piece of that darkness away so that more light can shine out or shine brightly. And that's it. That's what I got. It's a lot to digest, but that was the download that I got. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on.
For sure, I love the metaphor, the example of the yellow brick road. I love that because I think people do forget the journey, like you were saying, and are very much focused on the destination. Because when they got there, like you said, they were expecting, oh my God, this is it. And essentially, it seems almost like the guy behind the curtain was them in many ways, essentially, and just going back to self, knowing yourself. Um, you choose the journey, you choose the path within the document, and there's no shortcuts. And you go back to you go through the yellow brick road that you set for yourself. You're gonna find yourself at the end. That's who was there the whole time. You just
Yes.
remember it and just build from that. Because the journey is infinite. It's infinite. It's endless until you finish what you set up for yourself before you finish it. And,
Yes.
and to go back to the whole light working thing where we said that we are light workers and we have a crew that we're responsible for. Is that what you were saying? Like a crew
Yes.
that we're responsible. It's like the soul tribe that
It is.
we have, that we're here to actually like ignite them, to let them remember, hey, remember the yellow brick road you said you were
Yes.
gonna cross to meet yourself, to get, to keep going and going and going. So, um, because for me personally, I don't feel there's like a set guru per se, because everyone's guru is individual. Everyone's a guru for their own yellow brick road, because not everyone's journey is going to look the same. So I think it's like just enjoying the journey, and then when you do get there, know the whole time you're there to meet yourself and get yourself to whatever the unimagined spiritual awakening, and there's always like different levels. Is that relevant to what you're
Yes,
saying? Does
it
that make
is.
sense? Yes, okay. Okay. That's how I understand it.
Yes, it
Um,
is. And, excuse me, just to add to that, our journey is as unique to us as our fingerprint, you know. There isn't a one fits all. And what I've discovered or realized is that on the journey of self mastery and finding your authentic self in light, there are many different avenues to achieve that. And um, and there are many, I'll say, light workers or light beings that help facilitate that process. And so, if I can put an example to that, that would be an example of that would be a channeler, a tarot card reader, a counselor, a Reiki healer, a teacher, a sound healer, a preacher. These are all light workers, light beings who hold positions of authority and influence, you know, in 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 initiating that spark to incite that spark in others, where it's a ripple effect. So again, there's no one size fits all, which is why I think it's so great. And one of the things, because you can find what works best for you, not everybody learns the same and in the same manner. So you find um, you find who you tend to gravitate to as far as like your soul tribe, and you rock with them. And when I say rock with them, you stick with them, not so much stick with them, but for that time being in your journey, because you're never supposed to be codependent uh, on your light being. It's only a way to facilitate to get you to the next level until you find another person that is on or a spiritual, in other words, like a spiritual mentor that is at another level or a hierarchy that you're trying to achieve, or just in a different place in your journey. Spirit guides, I've learned, work the same. Whereas I don't have all of my spirit guides that I had when coming into the spirit, when it coming into my spiritual awakening. Some have dipped in and dipped out, and which is like, okay, tag, I've done my job. I was here to help you, facilitate you within this journey from this time frame, from this time frame. Okay, you've achieved this, and then they're tagging in another, spirit guide. So it's very similar. How it works spiritually is very similar to how it is works, on earth, in the sense where um, you're going to meet different people along your journey that's going to help facilitate you in your journey of self mastery and self discovery.
Yeah, for sure. It's always evolving, basically evolution. Like, you can't have the same guidelines because they specialize in a certain part of evolution, or probably just assigned for that part of your spiritual evolution, because it's always about evolving. Um, and everyone is there to me, like I said, like there's something because based on the purpose and reason for your spiritual awakening, what you what your journey is after each chapter of awakening. So different guides, different other people, you know, and then there's never a plateau in spiritual evolution. It's continuous, it's infinite, and it's and like the further and further you get into spirituality, you do awaken the light within the spark that you're talking about. And it gets deep. It gets really, really, really deep spirituality.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does, because I can't speak for anybody else, but I speak for myself, where I am able to extract wisdom, information, resources from all different types of places, which to some may come across as contradictory, or me not being sure of, what I would want to align myself, but I with or with whom, and um, and then question, how much I may really know myself, in that respect. But I find that the Most High and the Creator of all is all encompassing, and so because of that, there is wisdom to be extracted from all things. It's just a matter of well, you being quiet in order to be able to listen to the message. And there's a lot of times I communicate with my spirit guides. I'm like, huh? What? What you say? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, some are speaking to me like in mid-century. I'm like, I'm not there. Okay. I'm like in 2024. I need for you to get with the lingo. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say a lot of it can be confusing and easily lost in translation, which is why I'm always big on examples to be able to bring it, especially big complex ideologies, because they tell me all of these things and they already tell me I already know this, and I'm like, okay, great, I do know this, but how am I able to synthesize it and make it relatable for people who aren't as evolved in their path as I am, will be able to digest it? That's my focus, because I know that me coming into the game originally, I didn't know a lot of things. It sounded like a foreign language. I'm like, what the hell? Spiritual awakening? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, spark, light, positivity, like God within you, ye are God. What the hell? So I just remember just automatically when me going down rabbit holes and getting inundated with all of this information. And one other thing that I discovered is that, or my guides had shared with me, is the perspective of truth, in that truth exists on every level of consciousness. So it's not a matter of one being right or wrong. It's on what level of consciousness are you on in order to be able to decipher that truth, or to see that truth, or align with that truth, or resonate with that truth. So, Kate, I don't know if I should use that as an example, but let's just say, as an example, if I'm using, well, no, let's not. I was going to use another example, but if I, let's say, if I used light source, I don't know if this would be a good example or not, but oh my god, no, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to go with originally what I'm originally thinking is, specifically, if I use the example of, let's say, Jesus and his story of him being a healer. So when you read the Bible, you read all of the things that Jesus went through and navigated, um, and you see this, man having gone and being crucified on the cross. That's one level of truth. That's a certain level of consciousness. You raise your consciousness and you see that the crucifixion on the cross is actually death, which is transformation or rebirth. So that's an ascension in itself, a higher level of thinking. That in itself is another level of consciousness. And so both are true, but on different levels of consciousness. And so what we all aspire, especially light workers that have been charged to influence and initiate that spark, and initiate that, what is it, initiate the, not only the spark but the ripple effect, is to help lift, assist in helping to lift the consciousness. So it's like a domino effect: reach one, touch one, each one touch one, and then as a result, you know everything will be affected and will have achieved a higher level of consciousness, to now they're able to see different truths that reside there. And so essentially that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move on up, like the Jeffersons. So um
Yeah.
that's something that has brought me to light, um within this, or on this journey, because for a long time I either saw right or wrong, in that if you don't perceive things my way, and or the way that I grew up conditionally, socially, then it was wrong. But spirit showed me that it's not wrong, it's just a different level of consciousness that needs to be raised. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, you got me at ascension. That's the biggest thing for me. Really understanding the word ascension. And I like the metaphor of uh, the Christ on the cross and ascending. Ascending, I don't ever think, 2, 3 years ago, I really understood what that means. Ascension is to rise in consciousness, and like it doesn't mean to die, genuinely to spiritual death, the spiritual death, because now your perspective on existence changes. So on that cross, it could be even a metaphor that didn't really, he didn't die, he rose. Like it was an ascension. And like to go back, I'm not religious at all, not really. But I take all books of thought because all of it is relevant. You know how they say you don't throw the baby with the bathwater, you know? everything, everything means something. You know, if it's still there, it's, you know, just look at it. Um, so essentially to me that I've been looking up to is basically knowing how to die, because a lot of people reincarnate in a physical existence, walking the earth, and a lot of people genuinely don't know how to die. So that's like really deep to get into, but I might get into it here. But ascension is, there's different levels of ascension, there's different understandings of ascension, but recently the word ascend is to rise. So specifically exactly for like ascending on the cross to rise is to understand the way you passed away. So let go of the physical world and go and move on. Um, and there's like a lot of gurus that come back on earth through like the spiritual reincarnation. It gets deep. And all that. That's a whole different chapter. But um, like I said, I definitely like that whole metaphor with ascending and awakening. I guess I got stuck on that.
Mm.
You said it. I'm like, yes, you know, um, just like I'm getting butterfly. It's like a butterfly that evolves. They're saying as like ascension is just a butterfly constantly all the time. That is genuinely what existence is. Die, come back, die, come back. They said in fact, the butterfly is the expansion of life. I'm understanding it like, because I remember thinking, damn, butterfly's lifespan isn't that long. Because, because it's like, you know, we physically see life as point A to point B. But the thing is, when a butterfly passes on, you know, it's a caterpillar, the whole thing, chrysalis, and all that, but it becomes a butterfly. Yes, it passes away, but it comes back again sometimes as a butterfly. And you know, because of like journey, a lot of times butterflies, they're saying come back as butterflies because
Mm.
they genuinely like the whole rebirth and transformation. So that sometimes can be insightful. A lot of butterflies tend to come in as butterflies. The same thing with humans. Humans tend to like to come back as humans. And it's like we're saying we always remind human beings there's other things to come back as. Not even in the physical, like not even in, you know, what we know as human, it could be different. Like the fawns, there's such things as the fawns, as dragons, you can come back as angels. An angel, you can come back as a spirit, you can come back as a spirit guide. Like I could come back as your spirit guide, you can come back as my spirit guide. People like us that are so ancient, we can come back as a whole pantheon because we have pantheon on the other side. Because you and I are old, spiritually ancient, rather ancient, or ancient. Like I always end up saying, we're too old to be in fruition, too old to be even in existence before creation. So, so to come back and we're these old, ancient souls, beings, consciousness, existence, to come back again, to go run the journey as a human being, relearning, going back to the concept of the yellow brick road, study, you know, oh, this is going to be the yellow brick road. We're going to meet Oz. We meet ourselves. And all like, oh, of course, pretending we don't know. This is ourselves. Okay, what's the next chapter? You know, for some of us, it's just that like plain. I would genuinely have to pretend a certain level of like, oh, I didn't know, you know, it's really deep. But like, I don't want to digress too much because I can digress. But overall, what I was saying, does that make sense? The
It
evolution, because
does.
I got stuck on the whole ascension thing. I say the butterfly and just evolving. That in itself is an ascension. When you when you move on, come back as another being.
Mm-hmm.
Or human beings come back as the same exact, like, people are passed on, they're saying this is download, and they'll pass on, they get hit by a car and come back in fruition as if they never got hit by a car, but still living the same timeline, in completion. No, let it go. You got hit by a car. Let it go. Like, let yourself go. Because existence, timelines, paradigms is a way more fluid than we think. We think our existence is fixed, like it's solid. That's why meditation is powerful, because you're constantly going in the more in constant long meditations. You understand it's like, oh, it's not real. We don't really exist. Well, of course, I got hit by the car. Why would I come back? I wouldn't come back as a butterfly, a tree, or an angel, or a guy. Some people can't move on from existence because we forget to meditate, close our eyes, and remember that only awareness is the truth, and we can manifest liberation. So it takes a lot of spiritual awakening and waking up, and knowing that really nothing outside of you really matters. Not even this moment, but we just agreed to come here. But, it's deep. It's deep.
It
But that's
is. It does.
that's
It does.
that's how I feel about it. Everything is exactly where it's supposed to be, even when it doesn't seem like it, because we're the creators of our story, literally. And a lot of times we let the story dictate you. Imagine you're reading a story or writing a story, and all of a sudden the book starts to write for you. You're gonna freak out and be like, "What? No, I'm writing the story." So that's what it is. You're writing your own story.
Yes, you are. You definitely are. And one of the things that I felt like I maybe have glossed over that I didn't really make apparent is within that journey, as you're going through the journey of self mastery, you do um, find that you find how important it is that, as you had mentioned, letting go. Um, and I can delve, but that will have to be a different topic on a different day, as far as the physical, emotional, spiritual implications that affects you when you choose not to let go, because they're affected on all of those levels. But in this journey, one of the consistent lessons for that, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure many others who are out there and maybe listening can identify with, is difficulty of letting go, holding resentment, holding bitterness, holding anger as it relates to relationships, material possessions, um, places or things. So that one particular in my journey has been uh, one of those has been one of those roadblocks that in or challenges, that I have come across, that I have traversed onto the other side. Now, I'm not saying that I have 100% mastered it, but it's definitely, I've made significant strides in where I am now based on compared to where I was. And one of the ways that Spirit has told me on how to identify where you are in that path. But before I get to that, I did want to say another part that's important to your journey, that is to trust your inner guidance, your inner compass, which is your intuition, which is how God, the Most High, y'all, speaks through you. And these different channels that He uses to speak through you can be the Holy Spirit, can be your spirit animals, your spirit guides, your ancestors. These are different channels that are used through your intuition. But it's important to use your intuition as your inner compass as you go on your yellow brick road, which will make your journey, I don't want to say less challenging, but I will say less challenging because the more you lean on your inner compass and intuition, the less lessons, difficult lessons you will have to learn through opposition and resistance. So, specifically, what that means is if you are getting or hearing something in your gut and you are dismissive, you will get another opportunity to learn that lesson. That second lesson is going to be more difficult than the first time it approached you. The second time you choose to be dismissive, you will have another opportunity to pass the test and learn the lesson so that you are on the other side. You do not pass it, there will be, I don't want to say punishment. Um, I will say it'll be a higher level of resistance and opposition. If I were to use this in layman terms, we'll say specifically something simple as a job. You applying for a job that you don't like, or that isn't in alignment with what you truly want, but you go ahead and do it anyways. That is going against yourself in a way of self sabotaging and resistance. Some of the lessons that you'll learn by taking a job that's not in alignment with your intuition, your inner compass, would be challenges with coworkers, you possibly getting fired, you possibly getting laid off. There always being some type of internal or external struggle, because when you go against your inner compass, intuition, your external is a reflection of your internal. So when you find that you're in all of these, like, when you find that there's so many things that seem to be happening and going against you, these are reminders that you are going away from your intuition. And it's a reminder for you to tap in and to feel where you're at, take an assessment of where you're at, and to see first, take stock first, and then two, ask for guidance. If you're not certain, you can ask for guidance through prayer, through meditation. The answer will come to you, but you need to be one, patient, and two, you need to be quiet so you can hear, because spirit doesn't speak loudly. Intuition doesn't speak loudly, it's very subtle. So in order for you to be able to identify what your intuition is saying, you need to be quiet in order to listen. That's one of the things that I have come to discover. So when you don't listen, you learn the hard way. So your internal struggles, opposition is reflected on the external. So let's go back to the example of the job that you decided to take. That wasn't in alignment, but you just took it, let's say, for the money, as opposed to joy, peace, whatever. There will be certain things that happen centered around that job, through that job, folks that are in that job that you may come across that will teach you some valuable lessons. And the lesson is, first and foremost, you should have listened to your gut. You should have listened to your intuition, um, instead of going against it. Because what I've learned is the Most High always gives us an opportunity to learn things the easy way first. It's when we choose to ignore it or be dismissive, and he'll give you, you know what I'm saying, another chance to see, okay, well, let me see how you play this. And if you're still dismissive, then the big boys come out. The next thing you know, you out of a job 6 months, a year, or 6 months to a year. And of course, this is in extreme cases, but you're out of a job, or something happens where medically induced, and it could be either you or somebody that's dependent on you, but it still affects you. And you're still having to, um, you're learning your lesson the hard way when this could have been avoided. However, I also understand that everything is purposeful. And let's say there's some folks, me included, you know, that like to hurt, that like to learn the hard way. You gotta like it if you keep continue on doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I, I'm being sarcastic about that, but still, that's something very, very real that that I've come to realize. The realization is that, on this earth plane, there are lessons that we're going to learn. And as we traverse and level up, that's another part of ascension. And as we get onto the other side, we have growth, right? And someone said, I remember watching this one YouTube video, and it was a preacher, and he said something truly profound that really resonated with me. And I'm pretty sure you can find it. I'll probably send it, to you so that you can share it. But there was this one message where he was homeless, and it was a homeless man that was speaking to this man in this car vehicle. He was speaking about his experience about being homeless and how, people looked down on him, um, didn't think he was worthy of a conversation, basically, speaking to him very, as far as, inhumane. And one of the things that he had shared with him that he learned through his walk, was that oftentimes we don't just go, because we're all connected, we don't just go through what we go through for ourselves. It's actually a story to be shared, a testimonial to be shared, so that we can impact and affect others, um, to make a better decision or a different decision. So that goes back to the rippling effect. Um, Whereas, even though this homeless man, who always wanted to be a preacher, he was a light worker and a light being. And I say that in disguise because, or hidden in plain sight, that would be the best way to explain it. Because his words of wisdom impacted so many, to be able to have people come out of their selfishness, in order to recognize and admit that everything that we do impacts and affects others. So we always need to be cognizant, with that in mind. And it was one of those like aha moments where, a lot of the things that we do, if we can affect or impact others to be able to choose a different path and learn the lesson the easy way or the easier way, which I think, is the role of the light bearers and the light workers, then we've done our job, or that's part of our job, that's essential. So that really resonated with me. And I plan on, I'll send you the link so that you all, you can always add it to your YouTube video. Anyone who's interested can watch the video for themselves. But he said a lot of powerful, definitely powerful words, and to have that type of effect with his words alone, I knew he was of spiritual authority. Hidden in plain sight as a homeless man, but his words were very impactful.
I've had a reading for a gentleman where all he would get are homeless people around, like really homeless people, and they would ask him for money for this, for that, and he would never give them money. And whenever he started to do like a business or anything prosperous, he couldn't. And it turns out like it's a test because he has karmic chains from a past lifetime. So they tell me a lot of those that are homeless are angels, are usually angels. And like everything else, we're self-reflecting from the inside out. So we plan our incarnation. So it's kind of testing us in this incarnation. Are we going to make the same mistakes we made in past incarnation? So let's send us some homeless people based on how our society norms are in timeline of workplace, paradigm workplace. Are we going to go ahead and give money to the homeless? Are we going to, are we going to be our egos, the false ego? Are we going to be enlightened? Uh, so, so
Yeah. Yeah, that's so. I mean, that's definitely one thing that one thing that has become prominent in my life is in everything that I do, I try to be cognizant on how one I'm impacting or affecting others. Is it of a positive light or is it of a negative light? And if it's of a negative light, then those are the moments that I need to check myself and I need to assess and then redirect, you know, redirect, change it up and redirect. It's just an opportunity, like a check marker to check myself. So I say all that to say, um, you know, when I try my best when I approach anything in life is to think of think of the collective as opposed to solely thinking of myself and my own benefit. Because I know, definitely on a higher level of consciousness, you know what I'm saying? We are a collective. We are all as one and we are all source, you know. So, so that's been very prominent in the decisions, in the everyday decisions that I make, is not to only think of myself, but others.
yeah, yeah. Because we just carry it to the region, a big region.
Well,
I
do you have?
think
I feel like I've spoken enough. Do you have anything else that you would like to add, Melissa? I'm sorry.
no, I definitely think yeah, basically my this because I've gone through so many levels of transition, different times, the way I understand things will sound really far-fetched. So I almost have to ground my words and my thoughts so it can make sense because my understanding of it is like we're just playing a big game that we take too seriously, even my feedback. So giving to the homeland and taking care of ourselves and others is common sense, but it all depends on how old the story is, how old the consciousness, how old is the awareness itself. because not all of them are supposed to be like the. So my understanding is when your awareness is its own essence. So like when we come into fruition, manifesting our very physical world, um, we forget. So some of us like to play the game. Someone like you and I, we don't like to play the game. We come with that mission, and because there's younger souls or younger consciousness rather, and you may come and we test them. We'll see, well, what will they do here? If we pretend not to know, oh, okay, they're going to do that. Okay. So with every spiritual hit, we absorb it, we take it. So this is like a different subject. This is kind of just to build on what you're talking about. Um, um like that's how fluid existence is, where we just take the hits that they, for me, specifically for me, especially to be like a Scorpio. Scorpio is constantly dying and evolving, dying and evolving. So I think um, my higher self, my consciousness, literally puts itself in a certain level of detriment in order to die, evolve, and learn. And because there are those that can see more than me doing on purpose. We see, well, how can let's like let's see what's the left hook, right hook look like? How does it feel? How do I absorb it? How do I, oh, okay. But look, I come back into fruition next, and I handle that karma, because that's what Scorpio comes with too, karma. So that person deals with that karma and gets to feel the same thing they threw out and say, hey, I like that left hook, that right hook, the uppercut, and I evolved from it. So you check it out, see how you feel about it. Are you going to evolve from it? So depending on the context, you feel confused. Like, what you mean? You're supposed to like, not be here. Like, no, I'm a Scorpio. I'm an old age, I'm just here to find out how you feel about what you just did. I'm a marketing teacher in disguise. And then, it took the ego some time to learn that because I was, victimized by all the left hook right here. Like, no, the world is coming for me. And then you learn that, no, the world is coming for you. Because you're here to learn how it all works again on that level. So they're going to take you down and you're just going to be, oh, okay, that's a lesson. And then they're going to get their lesson, the same exact thing, so they can learn and, feel it and evolve like I have, because I've taken and absorbed a certain level of fire and destruction in order to be born again. I've spoken for Scorpio rising. We're literally born in fire. We're born in fire. We are the fire. So in many ways, I didn't know I was a walking fire. So like I'll burn and we'll burn together. Let's come burn and rise. A lot of people can burn and rise through the same ashes. So it's kind of like they either step back and say, oh my God, I just learned from the Scorpio. I just transformed because I was in her fire or his fire, depending. I'm specifically Scorpio because that's based on my experience. Because my life has been fire since the day of my existence. So when they walk into the fire, um, you just understand that I am the fire. So you can be born of light through the fire, or you can be born of ashes through the fire, or you cannot be born of the fire. Because it all depends on are you ready to evolve to a certain level of fire and darkness That's what it's called. Because I have Scorpio all through the charts. So everywhere in my existence, consciousness, physicality, existence is constant, die, and reborn. You know, um, so so luckily I have spirituality, understand certain things. Else I can be a walking victim, walking in my fire, constantly burning myself along with those that walk through my fire. And we're just a bunch of burning people. Like, but I understand, like, you know, I'm a fire. I'm a karmic exchange. But, you know, the script has changed because now I understand I will burn, but it will fly. And walk through my fire. Are you going to burn your life too? Are you going to, you know, are you going to level up? Because I level up every time you throw shot at me. I level up. Throw shot at me, I level up. So a lot of people are taking back smeared memories. And it's like, no, no, no. Throw more shots so we can level up. That's why we're incarnated in duality, or else we just be, you know, we'd be up there in the nothingness and bliss. You know, because that's what it all is. Like when I watch a lot of people's near-death experiences, they come back like, the car crash was beautiful because love is the truth. And at first, you know, that sounds crazy, but then you learn, well, yeah, there's no such thing as death. Death is an illusion. So you don't genuinely die. And a walking death, constantly dying and reborn, is basically the Plutonian Mars energy that comes. So, like, to be around certain people, like Aries, I think even maybe, I would say all the signs, you really have to be in power to be around certain people. If you're not in power, I'm a flame. So when you walk through the flame, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? In neutrality. And then I'm like, oh, are you here to evolve with me? Or are you here to transform? The ones who transform are those who are not in their powers usually, because they could be triggered by the flame, someone's individual flame. So if someone's triggered by someone else's power, to look inside themselves and find out, why are they triggered by her confidence, by her looks, by her words, her actions, self-reflection, tapping back into the light within you. Did you manifest that person to test you, to test your karma, to test because karma is more than what people say. It's not necessarily good or bad. There's so much more to karma. Karma is simply energy, essentially. And how is that energy that's in front of you make you feel? People are literally karma. So like good karma, bad karma. And there's other types of karma people don't know. That karma in front of you, how do you react? Do you embrace it? Are you offended by it? And if you are, why? 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 And if you could be offended for so-called good or bad reason, and find out why you offended by it for good reason, why you offended by it for bad reason. Like, why? Because we're just here to learn. It isn't some hurt someone. Some really old ancient beings that only human beings are so lost in the game. It is personal. Like, no, relax. Remember, you just incarnated as a fawn, as a siege, as a galactic siege, as a Pleiadian. There's even issues in Pleiadians. People are beings of Pleiadians, not all Pleiadians are human. Pleiadian beings are reminding of, hey, Pleiadians, go to paradise. They feel they're higher in consciousness than human beings. But sometimes they could just be like a human. Because they keep, and it's just different vibrations of existence. If they don't, it does not mean they're better than you. A human being can be more involved to do it. I know somebody's been in front of me. but I know this personally. So, and there's like, there's so much, I don't want to go too far, but human beings are so powerful. Like, we need to know ourselves more than our physical existence, so we can just understand nothing is greater than us. We're always looking for a guru. You're your own guru. Back to the Wizard of Oz, going back to the journey of Yellow Brick Road. You set forth the Yellow Brick Road. You put Oz there. You put the tiger here. You put all of this here. You wrote the story. You chose your parents. You chose the proms. You chose to meet a crazy Scorpio that you was going to try to do a left hook, and she threw you the right hook. And it's like, well, how do you feel about it? How did it feel? It's not, oh my God, she threw the hook back. Oh. It's like, well, why did you manifest into fruition here? You're not ready for it. Come play this game, because I'm straight burning fire. Not everybody is ready for it. So nobody's a victim to that circumstance. Essentially, remember, we name the situation, because I've been through some things I have not spiritually, physically seen on purpose, or I probably wouldn't move on. I would not be talking to you this way. But I've been protecting, but it has happened. Those paradigms have happened. And I mean, well, if that's the case, I think it's whatever. It's not to be taken like the end of the world. It's to be experienced, and it's to be self-reflective and evolve with, you're saying, different spirit guides, spiritually, with different physical people, with different planets, like different planets, if you're into a planet, with different nature beings, with different, with everything. And the more and more and deeper into the light, your self-light, the heart, your space, you are the God. You are the source of life and creation. The more you get into it, you're like, oh, that car crash, are they okay? You might tap in and be like, oh, that's how they chose to exit this life. There's people, they may not. And death isn't easy either way. Someone of my own family, I would still be, oh no, but I also would know deep inside, oh, this I'll tap in, oh, this may be bad, or whatever it is. You need to just learn to experience and let go, learn, and evolve. Because you will not evolve, you will not ascend, because that's what ascension is. To not ascend if you fall victim to the life circumstances you created for yourself to play the game, play that game, and correct. But it's a game that you created. You said, I'm going to come down to play this game, and all this craziness is going to happen to you. You're excited. It's just beautiful, light, glorious consciousness, and the nothingness. And you're like, yeah, I want to come down and play this game. It sounds full of jealousy. I want to do that. Racism, I want to play that. Get shot in the head, I want to do that. Sounds crazy, but that's the game you're supposed to play. But then when you come here, you're like, wait, hold up. Wait, that's what jealousy is. We're getting shot in the head. I mean, it's stuff that I understand because of constant self-reflection. Going back to the old gurus that woke me up to understand this, all the other people that tell you or the old entities that go back to awakening. Life is but a dream that you manifested for yourself to experience. So it's a journey.
Yeah.
Can't fall victim to your own journey.
Yeah. I mean, you said a lot there. And one of the things that I wanted to comment on or piggyback on was when you were like, you're not a victim. In this game of life, you're not a victim. And that brought me to another example of showing a heightened two truths, two showing another example of showing two truths that live on different levels of consciousness is that when something happens to you and then something happens for you as far as your growth, both are two truths that exist in that you are very well experiencing. You could be experiencing what you would perceive to be a very traumatic and negative event physically with your eyes, wholly, you are experiencing it, which is very true. But then the heightened level of that consciousness or a higher level of that consciousness is those things that are happening to you physically is for you. And that's for your evolution. That is for your growth as a spiritual being, because at the end of the day, that's what we are, living a human existence. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I also wanted to, because I wrote some notes on here too, girl. I also, based on what you said, because you hit a lot of the things, home. I know that, I know that, especially with you and I, because I know that all light, all light beings or light workers um, don't have the same gifts or channel it or use it in a different way. Um, and I can say based on my experience, I do, I am a medium and I'm a medium and I'm a channeler. Some people are just like, huh, what? Simple and concise. I can communicate with spiritual beings and energetic beings on the other side of human existence. So that's me just explaining it simplified. And there are a lot of times where when I communicate with my spirit guides, I feel like they're out of touch. I'm like, yo, when was the last time you've been on Earth? I'm like, this is hard, you know? And it just goes back to your point when you were just like, ancient, as far as like ancient beings coming back on here on Earth. And perhaps, it's an opportunity to have that experience so that you can be a better guide on the other end, because it's fresh, having gone through those experiences, and then you're able to relay certain messages in a way that can be better understood as someone who's like physically living in it or being in it right now, because I've had simple, when you say game of life, and some of the guys that I spoke to on the other side, they're like, yo, chill. It's really not that deep. It's really not that serious. Like, you'll be all right. I'm like, what you mean I'll be all right? you know? And I'm like, because it's not happening to you. It's happening to me. Like, what you mean sit down? What you mean you'll be all right? What you mean you're over exact? Yo, you know what I'm saying? Did you know? Did you see what just happened to me the other day? Did you witness that? Were we both in the same place? Like sometimes these are the conversations that I have with my guys on the other side, because I'm like, I feel at times that they are so out of touch. And it's not, and I mean, that can have a truth to it, but it's more so that they've achieved they have a higher level of consciousness. So where I'm like tripping over what just happened, they're saying, don't focus on the detail. we're looking at the bigger picture because we have a bird's eye view. And that's how we're guiding you. We're not guiding you based on what's directly in front of you. We're guiding you on a bird's eye view and how you moving to point A, B, or C, how that will affect, let's say, Melissa moving to point A, B, and C, and how collectively it impacts her, how it impacts the collective as a whole, as far as, raising the consciousness in the vibration, of Earth. So, there's been some push and pull, but when you said that, I had to chuckle to myself because I've had a lot of those conversations with my guys, like, yo, when was the last time you were up on this earth? Because I'm like, the advice that I'm like, what you telling me? But they're laughing. They're laughing right now. But anyway, it's just it gets real when you're in it in the trenches. It gets real, and one of the things that they made me realize was that all of the conflict that you've experienced, the trauma, untapped trauma, or wounded, your wounds, how that is manifested physically, and that can manifest physically as a situation or a person. So let me make this plain. If you struggle with codependency, if you struggle with pride, if you struggle with ego, if you struggle with material possessions, you got to have the baddest stuff, or you have to have the most stuff. Guess what? You're about to come across the person that has exemplified all of those woundings, all of that trauma that you have. And it's not to punish you, but it's an opportunity for you to grow past it. It's a lesson personified. That's one of the things that I was shown. So everything isn't just happenstance, everything is for your growth. And people are actually personified as lessons so that you can grow through it. Not so go through it on the physical plane, grow through it on the spiritual. You see what I'm saying? So that was one of the things that was kind of tough, because I'm like, yo, what's going on? What's going on with this? This situation. In other words, why do I come across, I'll make this specific. Why do I come across, let's say, a same particular man that exhibits the same similar qualities? I didn't pass that lesson. There's something that I still didn't get. And each time I come across the same type of dude exhibiting the same type of, I don't know, mannerisms or characteristics, it's an opportunity for me to get it right. And I know once I've gotten it right, I'm no longer approached by these same type of men that exhibit these same type of qualities. So for me, that's my barometer. When I've noticed and realized that I'm not attracting the same type of problem situations because my mentality has shifted based on tapping within and listen to my intuition so I can get that guidance so that I can move differently. Okay, now it's like on to the next lesson. But I also realized that, not also, but it was just further confirmation that everybody you meet is not coincidence or circumstance. Everybody you meet is a reflection of yourself. They could be a reflection of the light. They could be a reflection of the dark. They could be a reflection of your wounds, of the trauma, that you have yet to ace, as far as like a test or a lesson. And it's just like God saying, you still need some more work. You know what I'm saying? You still need some more work, and presents you with an opportunity, which would come in the form of a person, to get it right so that you can move on to the next. And that's all part of, evolution, of growth, of ascension. So, and then and the last thing that I'll add, and then I'll turn it over to you, is that, um, it's twofold. It's twofold. It's two part. Meaning, like, one person is never the test for somebody else. There's duality. So, and I'll try to make this plain. So, in the sense where, for me, let's say if I'm having trouble with my ego or my pride, and then I'm met with someone, an opportunity, let's say a romantic interest, who tends to be egotistic or very prideful, then it's an opportunity for me to check myself so that I can heal those parts of myself and therefore change how I navigate things. But it's also an opportunity for them. This is where you're bait, okay? And it's an opportunity to see, okay, am I going to take advantage of this person? Like, how am I going to treat this person? Like, I know this person seems either meek, naive, or this person seems to be easy to get over. So, in that instance, the test for them would be, should I take advantage of this person knowing how easy it is to get over them? So it's twofold. You see what I'm saying? It's never, the lesson in itself is never one-sided. That's another thing that I realized. So that's to your point where, I would say a lot of the times, the chosen ones, and when I say chosen ones, I'm speaking specifically about, light workers, or light bearers, light workers. Those those who have gone through a lot of atrocities, a lot of challenges in their life, a lot of difficulties. Those who have been walked over and done wrong, not just once, but multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Almost to the point where they're like beat down because of it, or feel beat down because of it. Jesus is an example of a chosen one. So if anybody, so if you think and you see, not think, but those who are familiar with the Bible and are familiar with Jesus's journey, there are many other human beings who have lived the very same thing, but it's shown differently because of the times that we're in. So, but nevertheless, those people are still chosen ones. And so the point that I was trying to make, because I don't want to lose it, but the point that I was trying to make is oftentimes they're lamb, innocent, naive, seemingly, or gives the impression of it, bait, so that's another example. So, that's another example of it. But it's just, it's
like clarified, like, everything I said. It sounds like you said it, but like it was just solved in your sense, like a metaphorical way. So I think you made a point. Oh, well, of course, because that's what she's trying to like what you're saying, how you clarify, basically everything that we said. It was
said the
just so
same.
dynamic. Yeah, we said the
You
same
said the
thing
same thing. You said the
in
same
different
thing.
ways.
Yeah,
So
but cool. I often, because I feel like that's my calling, is to break complex, ideologies and philosophies and spiritual teachings so that, people can understand them and grasp, and whereas your calling is to speak to other advanced souls that boom, automatically get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? As a person who's just like, what the hell is she talking about? Like it just went over my head type of thing. But then, but advanced,
So it's relevant to you because you're advanced too. Or
yeah,
anyone, if you just like, take a moment. But like, I love how you just, everything I said, you just, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I said. But like exactly that. Yeah.
that's good because we're here. We're here with it.
Yeah. Basically, what I said is someone didn't catch it, they caught it on what you said. Like, oh, Sounds funny. So we're gonna
Yeah.
wrap this segment up. We definitely got into a lot of things today. Um, definitely like what we talked about. Like was saying, it's really, really, really fast. And so that's what we do. Um, so I want to thank this. Um, we're probably going to do this more often.
Yes, girl. I don't have a YouTube channel, but I'm gonna make one. I'm gonna make one. So that way, yes, I can have you over to my channel and we can we can definitely speak about more of these things, address more of these topics in more detail, because you have so much information to share. And so I would love to have you as part of my channel. So that's going to be my first task is to create it. I'm going to do that.
Please just send me the video of the homeless man, that way
I got you.
put it in the link below this video. You guys, if you check under the links below the video, there's a bunch of other links to other book studies that have different channels that have mind magic, and so on and so forth. So we've been hit, like I was trying to tell everybody, we've been hit, spiritually hit, taken down, da 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 da. And it's like I'm a Scorpio, I absorb it, I learn it, I love it, almost addicted to it. And then I'm like, all right, enough of the game. I gotta go back to work. So we back again. We back again. Psych, you thought it was for real. It's a game. So, thanks for wishing for the people to learn and so they're not making I want to be like to myself, I put this for myself so I can learn. But in a way where I won't be traumatized. I mean, everything that was happening to me, I didn't come on YouTube again. But enough to understand and basically anything can come from you. Anything comes for you, anything can be physically, mentally, spiritually, in any paradigm, any realm. Anyway, I digress. So thank you, Cristina, so much for being here. We're gonna do this again more
I had a good time.
often. I enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed this. And I love you guys all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check the links below. There's more in store. Blessings to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.